So today's movement comparison, we're gonna be going over bench press versus push-ups. So clearly, two almost polar opposite horizontal pressing movements. They have their similarities, they have their differences, they have their spectrums of application, but I think it's important to understand where one might be better than the other and why one might necessarily not be as applicable in certain circumstances. So that's what we're gonna kind of talk about today. So bench press, everyone knows what a bench press looks like, but we're still gonna go over just a couple of demo reps here. So first, making sure that the J hooks, these little hooks right here where the bar is held, are maybe a couple of inches lower than your lockout height so that you can easily unrack the bar and make sure that your feet are flat on the ground. Your head is flat on the bench and your upper back is flush on the bench as well, having a slight arch in your low back. Unrack, and you want to touch your lower chest about sternum level, keeping your shins vertical the entire time. So bench press is a pretty complex movement. Obviously not gonna be able to go through everything, but one thing there is you wanna make sure that you're locked in with a specific grip, because as soon as you start changing your grip, it really changes the dynamic of the movement and how you're actually gonna be able to get efficiency out of that as well. So push-ups. Push-ups are going to be probably the most standard movement that anybody knows of, outside of, maybe even a bench press. But with push-ups, big thing here is body weight strength is gonna play a massive role in the movement. Also gonna be holding basically a plank the entire time. So here, making sure that you get a full range of motion. And also noticing that I'm not dropping my hips while I'm performing this. I wanna keep my hips up and my low back neutral with my abs tight. So a couple of things to note here. Bench press is a very locked in movement pattern, right? So once you unrack that bar, you're really not gonna be able to change much about the movement and how you're executing the movement. You're pretty cut and dry there. Push-ups, you're gonna have a little bit more variability. You're gonna be able to change what you're doing. You're gonna be able to shift around where your shoulder blades are. You're gonna be able to change what your elbows are doing a little bit more. There's just a lot more ability to actually change what's going on. So with bench press, you're gonna be looking at lower rep ranges, you're gonna be looking at higher intensities, typically more strength-oriented work there. Push-ups, you can shoot for more metabolic work, higher rep. Obviously, some people are not gonna have the body weight strength to perform 20, 30, 50 push-ups. That's okay, because you can easily modify it down to knees on ground push-ups, or even just push-up holds to build up that strength in the meantime. And also push-ups against a bar to replicate a bench press movement pattern. Same thing, they had that kind of hybridization crossover, but push-ups, bench press, they're gonna have a lot of that crossover, working the same muscle groups, pecs, shoulders, delts, or pecs, delts, and triceps. Push-ups are gonna have much more of a ab, core, and stability component, whereas bench press is a very closed chain or open chain and more strength-oriented movement like what we were talking about there, but it has one movement pattern and that movement is pretty locked in. So I prefer bench press if I'm gonna be going higher intensities, lower rep ranges, really shooting for strength acquisition, or if that is more of a compound movement pattern in a program. And then push-ups are gonna be something that I'm more looking towards if I'm looking for specific pec hypertrophy or really high blood flow, things like that. So again, both have their places in a program, but I would highly recommend looking at both movements and not necessarily discounting either one.